Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. My name is Heidi and this is episode 26. Today is August something. August 5th, I think. Anyway, I have so much stuff around me. Y'all would laugh if you could see the way things are set up right now. What a mess. Anyway, as you can tell, I did my hair. It came out quite a bit brighter than I thought it was going to, but this kind of is what I would have done if I had dyed my hair at the beginning of the summer anyway, so I'm just going to go with it. I have a couple of weeks before school starts, but I'm not sure how much this is going to die down before then. Anyway, y'all are here to hear about knitting, right? You can find me on Ravelry and Plurk as Knitty Girl, and on Instagram and Twitter as Knitty Girl 1. And I'm on Plurk sometimes, but I mostly post to Instagram and Ravelry. Those are the two medias I use the most. Twitter I do use, but it's mostly for announcing things. But every once in a while I go on and see what other people are doing. I've found Twitter is actually really good for finding out about things that are going on in your own area. I've learned about a lot of things I wouldn't have known about just from being on Twitter, so that's kind of a good use for Twitter too. But no, well, and I do have a Pinterest account, but I don't use it. The only thing I've found it to be useful for is hairstyles. If I want to gather a bunch of pictures from the internet and decide what my next hairstyle is going to be, that's kind of what I use it for. Otherwise, I really don't use Pinterest. I don't really see the need for it because we have Ravelry, and that's mostly what I want to look at and pin anyway, is patterns and yarn. So the past couple of weeks, actually it's only been a week. It seems like it's been longer. I guess I think I podcasted last Wednesday. Maybe it has been about a week. This week I have only worked on two things. And the first one I can no longer show you because I've decided on my pattern and everything. It's I'm working on the shawl design now, and I have the pattern figured out that I want to do, and I've started it, and it took me 4 times before I figured out what I wanted to do, so it's interesting to be doing a more difficult design, because I do have another design. If you haven't seen on my Ravelry page, I designed a cowl, but I did it to be very simple on purpose, and so that one didn't take a lot of time to knit, and it didn't take a lot of time to write up. But this one's a little bit more complicated, so I did have to try several times, swatch, knit, reknit, frog, all that stuff to figure out where I am. But unfortunately now I can't show that, so my knitting portion is not too exciting this week because mostly I've been knitting on that, and I've also been knitting on the blanket that I started. I showed you, it's just a garter stitch blanket, no pattern, pretty large now. I don't know, yeah, you can probably see. It's getting pretty big. I have 2 more balls left. I'm hoping it's going to be long enough to cover me. And I'm using Rossetti Soft Payette. This is the universal yarn. And I'm hoping, the only difference is, the problem is it's fingering weight. And the last blanket I made with about this much yardage was not fingering weight. It was, of course, worsted. So we'll see. But I love it. It'll be a good lap blanket, even if it's not a full blanket, because it's very squishy. It's acrylic, but it's very squishy, and it's shiny. So it makes me happy. I like it. And I have this right now. It had to move out of my other bag, and it's in my fat squirrel bag that I got at SSK. So that's what that, and also the shawl is what I've been knitting on. But I am going to start a new project, and it's one I talked about before, but I hadn't actually started because when I got in my new bases, I really wanted to dye them up, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the podcast. But I am going to use this Yarn Carnival yarn that I showed you a couple episodes ago when I went to Yellow Rose. Oops, that's upside down. Yellow Rose Fiberfest, and I'm going to be knitting the mizzle with this. I think it'll look good with a graduated yarn, or I mean a progressive yarn. I talked about that last week. This is a progressive yarn. It's a simple pattern, so I think it will look good with a gradient. I have seen some more complicated patterns knit in gradients that look nice, but right now, because I have been so into trying new techniques and different things with dyeing, I'm finding that that's taking more of my time than knitting. So having something simple, since I am also knitting something lace, is a nice thing to do. Gives me something to do when I'm watching TV. And I've been trying to catch up on some series before I go back to work. I started watching the 2nd season of Hemlock Grove, and I'm rewatching True Blood season, I think I have it over here, I think it's season 5. I haven't seen the latest one because I don't have HBO, but I did see the one before it, and I'm watching it again so that when I do have a chance to see it, I'll remember what happened. Seems like now they wait so long between seasons that sometimes you forget what happened. Like when I was going to watch Hemlock Grove, I swear, I think it's been at least a year, maybe longer, since the last season, and I have no idea what was going on. So I had to go back and watch the beginning of that, or I mean the ending. I watched the ending of that 1st season before I started watching the 2nd season. I guess that's the way they do things around here now. And Game of Thrones, same thing. It's like they make you wait a year before you can buy the DVD. I think it was almost a year after the last one was out that I was able to buy the DVD. So same thing. I went and watched the ending of the season before so that I could remember what was going on by the time I got to the beginning of the season. And that one I've also read. I've read through book 3. I haven't read book 4, so when season 3 of Game of Thrones finished, they were still doing book 3, but I don't know if they're going to go into book 4 for the next season. So maybe that'll be a book I pick up soon. Right now, I don't have any spinning to show, but I am continuing to work on the churro. I actually posted on Instagram today that this is never ending, and it said 4 ounces, but I swear, I think they gave me like 6 ounces because my bobbin is almost full. It's a jumbo bobbin, and normally I can fit 4 ounces on there, and I still have like a big chunk. Not as big as it was, but there's like pretty decent sized chunk left of the yarn, or of the roving. So we'll see. I'm calling it the never-ending churro right now because I don't know how long it's going to take me to spin it all. So anyway, let me show you the book that I'm reading right now, since I don't have a lot of knitting to show. Actually, this was my first passion before I found knitting. I have, since I was started, I think when I was in 6th grade, I just would read everything I could get my hands on. And I remember being the annoying kid in the class that would always raise their hand. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I read that. I read that. It got to the point where the teacher would start talking about a book and they'd look at me. Kids would look at me. Have you read that one? And I had a really good rapport with that teacher. So, I always thought I was going to be an English teacher, and I did go to school. My undergrad was to be an English teacher, but in the end I ended up getting my master's in speech pathology, and that's what I do right now. And actually, that's what I've done for the last 17 years now. Next year will be my 18th year. And that's the other thing. That's why I decided to color my hair. I have a lot of gray now. And my hair is, the natural color is pretty dark. So as the gray hairs grow in, it shows more when I leave it my natural color. Not to mention that the gray hairs kind of stick out in all kind of crazy ways, and apparently that's why my hair is curly now, because when I was younger it wasn't curly. So anyway, now that I've gone off on a tangent. Anyway, this is the book that I'm reading right now. It's called Shadow of Night, and it's by Deborah Harkness. And I read the first one 2 years ago, so it was like the same thing. When this one came out, I don't know why. I guess I was probably in the middle of reading all the J.R. Ward books. She's the one who does the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. And so I didn't get to this one. And right now I've probably read about 200. well, maybe not 200 pages, but no, not that much at all. I'm about 100 pages in. But I loved the first book. It's very kind of history-based, but it's about the supernatural as well. And this book is so much fun because they travel back in time, and the characters are like Marlowe, and there's like 4 guys who are all really well known that one of the main characters is friends with and lives with and hangs out with. It's just, it's so fun to read. So I think it's loosely based on history. It's not totally, but you know, it's pretty fun. And if you enjoy history and you enjoy supernatural stuff, I would recommend this book. It is a big book, and it's going to take a while to read. But I read the Game of Thrones books. I enjoy. As long as the book is interesting, I will keep reading it, and this is a really good book. So that's another thing I've been working on. In the last couple of weeks, I went to see a really good movie that I think a lot of you have probably seen. And it's actually a movie that you can take your kids to go see. It's a good movie. But it was really funny, and it was interesting. It's called The Guardians of the Universe, and it's based off a comic book. And every time a comic book movie comes out, I know my husband's going to want to go see it because he loves comics, and he actually has his own comic. He owns Cranium Comics, and he has 3 or 4 issues. He's got two different characters that he writes about, and so yeah, anyway, he's really into comics, and so we usually go see those movies, and I don't always like them, but this one I really enjoyed. It was a lot of fun, and I think that they picked some good people to be in it. It was a good movie, and like I said, it's kid friendly, but it's not little kid friendly because there's some swearing in it, so it's more like teenager friendly, I guess. I think it's rated PG-13. Because a lot of the previews were for Annie and for other things that were, you know, geared towards children. But it's a really good movie. It's really fun. It has, you know, kind of interesting characters in it that are not... Only one is... You think he's human. Only one of them. The rest of them are not. So it's kind of like a fantasy thing. And the other thing that I did that was fun last week was I went to my LYS for knitting. Sometimes I go there for a knitting group. And I had gone there a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember if I mentioned, I think I did, that I bought Ply, the recent issue, which is, this one is about Twist. And I've only read some of it. It's very... It's something I have to think about while I'm reading it, and that's one thing I really like about Ply, but it does take me a while to get through some of the articles because I have to really think about what it's talking about. But the thing I also really like about this is the patterns in it are really cool, and you can use the patterns in this you can use with your hand spun. When I went last week, apparently they've reissued the first issue of Ply, so I had to get that one. And I haven't read through it yet, but I think it's basically like an introduction. So if you didn't get the first issue, maybe check with your LYS to see if they got the reissue. The lady who owns my LYS is taking the spinning, what do you call that? You know how you can get a master's in knitting. There's like a master spinning program. That's it. That's what she's in. She's in the master spinning program, so she's really interested in spinning. And so I'm sure that's why she got the reissue of Ply. And that's where I've been picking up my issue of Ply. The LYS is called The Happy You, and it's in Jonestown, Texas. So if you live in Austin or you're visiting Austin and you're looking for a yarn shop, check Jonestown too, because it's like right on the border of Austin. It's not much of a drive at all, and it's a really neat shop, and it's really pretty drive out there. It's in the hill country, so it's worth the drive, and she has a lot of stuff, and she actually has a lot. I think she has more fiber than most of the yarn shops in Austin. I know there's other yarn shops that are surrounding cities, but not this close, that have some fiber, but she has a lot of fiber in her shop. And I had to get this, and I don't often buy the, you know, $14.99 issues from Interweave, because to me that's just like buying a book. But I had to get this one. This is awesome. Enchanted Knits, and it's by Interweave, and it's one of those special issues. And the first reason I wanted to get it is because I think I got an email about it, and I loved all the patterns I saw on it. But then when I started looking through it, the articles are so interesting. They have things about fairy tales in the articles, and I swear I don't think there's a pattern in here that I wouldn't want to knit. Obviously, I won't knit all of them. I never get to all of the patterns, but look at this. This is so cool. The Princess Who Spun Nettles. So there's a bunch of articles based on fairy tales, and I love them. There are a couple. This one I really would like to knit a lot. This is called the Butterfly Fairy Tank, and it has a little butterfly on the bottom. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can get close enough. Yeah, see, there's a little butterfly at the bottom of it. I would love to knit that. That's so cute. So I'm not really going to do a review of this because I don't want to go into too much detail. But this is also another one that I just love, and sometimes I have to wonder if I love these things because I like the pattern or because I like the color, because everything that's gold I want to spin, or not spin, spin too, but knit. This is Rumpelstiltskin's shawl. Let's see. It's so hard to get stuff to focus. You never know quite where it's going to focus. You can't really tell. You can see the colors, but this wrap has cables on it, and it's beautiful. It looks right up my alley. I think I would really like to knit that, and I really would like to knit something similar to what's on the front, because that's it. To me, it's like that connection of a cowl and a shawl is very pretty. So I do, if you like fairy tales and you like fantasy and things like that, you might like this a lot. It's I love it. I really love that one. It's been a while since I've had seen a magazine that I liked that many patterns in. Let me look at my notes. I didn't write very good notes today. The other thing I wanted to say is that we wrapped up the last Knit All the Things, and I'm going to announce the winners in a minute. But first I want to say the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to run it, I'm not sure, I may keep this thread open for like just an ongoing thread. I opened up a thread, and it's a thread for finished objects. I've sold quite a bit of my yarn at this point, but there aren't that many finished objects on Ravelry, and most of them are ones that I've knitted or my friend Wendy knitted. So I know a lot of y'all have my yarn, so I really would like to see what it looks like knit up, because I don't have the time to knit everything up. I try to, but it's really hard, because do I want to dye or do I want to knit? And I want to dye my new bases and get them out there. So anyway, I opened up a thread. If you finish something in my yarn and you post in the thread, you will automatically get a 25% off coupon for my shop. And what I'm going to do is every month I'll pull from the people who knit patterns during that month, and they'll win a $7 or less giftable pattern on Ravelry. So I'll do that every month with the people who knit the FOs for the month. But like I said, everybody who enters a finished object, and it has to be knit after today. It's not, don't post something that you've already knit. There's only been a few people anyway, but post something that that's not on Ravelry, that you're finishing either in August or later, and you'll automatically, like I said, you'll automatically get the coupon code, and then every month I will draw from that thread for a $7 or less pattern giftable in Ravelry. Now let me go ahead and talk about the winners of the contest. And I'm trying to maneuver all of the stuff that's over here on my desk so I can get that out. I did not plan this very good. The problem is I have to bring a light in here because there's a window next to me, but it does not bring in a lot of light. So that's why I have to bring in a light, and that sometimes gets in the way. There were 4 winners, and this is for our Knit All the Things Knit Along. The first winner, I've already pulled, I did it for the random number generator, and the first winner was number 49, and that is Juliana Jukes, and she had entered that, her entry was the Miss Woodhouse Shawlette. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was in a neon pink, which you know I love. Anyway, she is going to win a $10 or less pattern. So, Julie, please email me, or I'm sorry, PM me on Ravelry and let me know which pattern you would like. And that's a pattern that's $10 or less and giftable on Ravelry. And then the other thing that we were pulling for, here it is. Too many things over here today. Is for the Op Art Sock Book. And the winner of that was Rachel Broccoli. And she, her entry was entry number 31. And she actually had posted a pattern that she made herself. Apparently she has a shop or a business called Silly Stitches, and she made a child's pattern. And she posted that. That was number 31. And so Rachel Broccoli, you win the Op Art Socks book. So PM me on Ravelry and let me know your address so I can send that out to you. And the third prize was skein of yarn from Fresh from the Cauldron. It's hard to tell if this focuses. I think it does. Fresh from the Cauldron, and this is a brown and a little kind of gold, light blue gradient yarn. This is a gradient yarn. And the winner of that was number 80, and that's You Name It. And You Name It is Marnie from Seattle. So Marnie, let me know on Ravelry what your address is, and I will send you out this beautiful skein of yarn from Fresh from the Cauldron. And this is 400 yards of superwash merino, and it's a fingering weight. And you will love this. They have beautiful, Fresh from the Cauldron has beautiful yarns. And then number 4, the last one, will win a yarn of their choice from my shop, Undead Yarn. And the winner of that was, her name on Ravelry, it was number 105, and her name is To Nandy, and that is Heather from Arizona. So Heather, contact me on Ravelry and let me know what yarn you would like from my shop, and give me your address so that I can send that out to you. So that is the end of Knit All the Things. And now I opened up the thread for the finished objects. And in a couple of months, I believe we're going to probably do a horror knit along. And I'm planning to start that in October, since that is month of Halloween. And during that month, I know that I will be knitting on my Toothless, because I want to make that little stuffy. Even though I'm not a stuffy person, I have made them for other people. And after seeing that movie, oh, I just love that little Toothless. So I want to make that pattern. And I haven't decided yet about what the prizes will be for that, but we'll wait and see. Maybe, you know what would be nice is maybe I can get some bags from a shop or something to give to you guys. And you know what? I'm going to go over, I was going to go talk to you guys about my new yarns, but before I do that, I am going to go over and get my stuff from SSK that I didn't show last week, and I'm going to show you the rest. So hold on, I'll be off screen for a second. You can see my skein winder back there. Unfortunately, I have to do it by hand. One of these days, maybe I'll have enough money to get the electric one, but this is what I do for right now. Anyway, let's see what other stuff that I got that I had not shown you guys last week. I bought 2 things from Sadie of Knitter's Nightmare. The first one I got was Sally's Dress, and this is on a sparkle base. Yay! 436 yards. It looks so tiny, man. She really skeins these suckers up tight, because look at, well, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks really tiny. And this is a 6-striper. That could be one that I don't know now. I'm so torn about Halloween, what I'm going to do, because I wanted to knit my Freddy yarn and knit the Toothless. I don't know how many socks I can get in for Halloween, but you know what? I can knit this at any time. Sally's Dress is cool anyway. And the other one I got was Seashore, and this one is also a sparkle one. I think it's this, it looks like it's the same base, superwash merino and nylon. And this one is a self-striping. This one, yeah, this is very pretty. It has lots of different colors in it, and the colors are showing up pretty good today. Let's see, what else? I'm going to try not to show you stuff that I already showed you last week. Oh, this one, I totally forgot to mention that I bought a skeiny yarn from another crafty girl. What a neat lady. My husband and I were talking to her and her husband, and they like to play different games, and they like gaming and stuff. They were really neat. This is apparently from a game that she plays. I think this is a video game. This is called, from another crafty girl, and this is called Glowing Red Eyes. And the really funny thing is, I've seen a couple other podcasters bought the same one. This I actually had on my list to buy. So this is what I got. It's totally, these are my colors. It's got like orange and black and yellow. I don't think you can see the yellow quite in there. It's very minimal, but that's completely my colors, so I had to get it. And then I also, and I forgot to mention her too, and which is weird because this is one of the people who inspired me to start dyeing. I always wanted to dye self-striping yarn because I love self-striping, and once I started seeing Lisa of Fiber Nymph do it, I was like, oh man, I gotta try that. Because I love her colors. And this is a Christmas colorway. This is called Merry and Bright, and I have never ever seen a Christmas yarn that I wanted to knit with, because I'll tell you honestly, I think red and green together is very tacky, but these are beautiful. This is like an olive green with a burgundy and a red, and it's so pretty. It doesn't scream Christmas. Oh, there you go, you can see it. It's beautiful colors. I really like it because I think that they're more subtle, and she called it like the Christmas colors of older Christmas. I kind of like that. I really like this one, and that's going to be a pair of socks at Christmas. I already know that. Let's see. What do I have here on the bottom? Oh, I did hit Leading Men Fiber Arts, and I wanted to get, this is the colorway I wanted to get, but the lace weight color, it's funny how, you know, stuff comes out different depending on who dyes it, and also depending on the base. This, I ended up getting, I think it's a DK, in his Dramaturg, 100% superwash merino, 250 yards. Yes, that's what it is. And this is Avery. It's hard. Let me try closer. No, I don't think, that's definitely not showing up right at all. That's kind of what it looked like in the lace weight. It's a more subtle color. The colors are definitely a lot more subtle than this. That looks more... It's very hard to get good lighting. Let's see. No, you can't tell. I'll tell you honestly, these are more brown. This is like a brown and a gold and a red. That's what it is, brown and gold and red. But if you go on their website, you can see what it looks like. I really like this. It's subtle, but it's got my favorites in it. You know, it's got the brown and the gold. It's really pretty. I like how he dyes, or they dye, because they both dye. They are so lucky that they both dye. They get so much more done. They have so much more in their shop than a lot of the rest of us. These, I already showed you Mustache. Oh, I forgot to show you my Knitting Rose. I got 2 skeins of yarn from Knitting Rose, and this is one I was planning to get because I saw it at Stitches South, and I had already bought so much at Stitches South that I was like, I can't play anymore. I can't fit any more in my suitcase. But this time, I didn't have to worry about flying. And so I ended up getting the Budding Skies, and this is a DK weight, I believe. Yes, it's 200 yards. And this is the color Blue Up, and it's 50% bison and 50% superwash wool. And it is a brilliant blue. Yeah, that kind of looks like it, with brown undertones. And it's so gorgeous because it starts out, she said it starts out with the brown bison and then she dyes it. And because it's brown, I guess it doesn't completely suck in all the color on top, and it's just a gorgeous blue. And it's funny because I'm not really a blue person, but this is almost a turquoise. And there's a color, I think it's called periwinkle. It's a certain type of blue that's almost purple. And this is between like a turquoise and a periwinkle. It's really pretty. And we were talking to her for a long time, my husband and I. And while we were talking, my husband brought up that he wants some fingerless mitts. Now, he's been bugging me to make him fingerless mitts, but he's always picking these difficult patterns with all these color work things. And like, I don't want to do that. He's wanted me to knit him a hat or gloves or something with the skull motif on it. But it's not a simple skull motif. He wants it to look like his logo, and his logo is complicated because he's a graphic designer and he can do that. I'm like, that does not translate to yarn so easily. So he finally agreed to just let me do a simple pattern. But after he saw me get this yarn and he heard that it was bison, he was like, huh, you know, I need some fingerless mitts. And Lisa was so funny. She's like, oh, go look at the yarn over there. So, of course, he did. But it was kind of nice because it gave me an excuse to get another skein yarn. This one is the same thing. It's the bison and the superwash wool. And this is called Cherry Cordial, and it's another 200 yards. And it's a red and a brown color, which I think will be really nice. My husband likes to wear some different colors. He doesn't always wear like just gray and brown and blue. He likes to wear different colors too. Actually, his favorite color is purple. So he even had some purple shirts. So I was pleasantly surprised that he picked something like this, because usually when I ask him if he wants socks, it's the same typical thing. Make me some gray socks. Make me some brown socks. Make me some black socks. Really? But no, he picked this. And this is really fun. I think it's going to be very sturdy, and I'm sure it's going to be very warm. And I know a lot of people here say that it doesn't get that cold, but I find that I can wear fingerless mitts in the winter, no problem. And sometimes inside I want to wear them because people don't always want the heat on that much. Like, they don't always like the same amount of heat you do. And the building I work in, when you work in the schools, you know, there's only so many thermostats. So not everybody has control over their room, how the temperature is in their room. So it's always nice to have fingerless mitts and a shawl available. And I think that's all the stuff that I got at SSK. I had to spread it out over a couple weeks because, y'all, I definitely was one of those people who was a wool pig. I was definitely a wool pig, and yeah, I think I need to chill out for a little while. But it's a good thing I dye yarn as well. Excuse me. I think the grass allergies are out now. I've had a good luck this summer until now, but anyway, I do have two of the bases that I talked about last week ready to show you guys. Actually, I don't remember if I talked about this one. This one I have is a fingering weight, and the funny thing is I've also been forgetting to tell people what's high twist and what's not. The Superwash Merino and Cashmere nylon blend is a high twist. The BFL nylon is a high twist. So those two that I showed you last time are both high twist. This is also a high twist. It's interesting that it's a high twist because it's a single. And it's fingering, and it's 431 yards. And this is 70% merino and 30% silk. And this is definitely not showing up as bright as it is. This is a pale neon color, and you can see on my Instagram or on the website here. Oh, you can, well, at least you can see the purple there too. This is not an accurate color, but you can see it does have the purple splashes in it as well. It's basically a pale neon pink with purple, and this is called Pixie. And this is on the silk and merino single high twist. And then I also dyed Pixie in my new lace weight yarn. Y'all, this lace weight has 931 yards. How awesome is that? And it's superwash merino. I love this yarn. This is also Pixie. But as you can, well, you know, that's the other thing. You can't really tell here. Kind of. This one is very bright. This is definite bright neon pink with some splashes of purple. The other one is a lighter neon pink. That shows a little better. It shows you some of the purple too. That's more what it looks like, but it's very bright pink. And those are the two new yarns that I have. Actually, no, those are only two of them. I have one more. And this one is the BFL nylon high twist. So remember, the new sock yarns are high twist, which is really nice. The others, the merino I have is not high twist, and it is a fatter yarn. But this one, and this is probably not going to show up very well because these are pale colors, and yeah, it completely washed it out. These are yellows, greens, and grays. And I would look on the website to see what it exactly looks like. I am calling this one Smaug's Treasure because it's got a little bit of green for money, a little bit of yellow for gold, and a little bit of silver for silver. And this is 400 yards, and it's a high twist sock base, BFL nylon. I thought there was something else I wanted to show you guys. Oh, there is. I'm going to be knitting this up soon. This is the Blood Spatters colorway. And it is a reddish pink. You can see here's hot pink. Oh, there you go. That's a good way to show it. This one is a reddish pink. And this one is a hot pink. So there's a good way to show the difference between them. Eventually I'm going to knit this up into a very simple pattern just so you can see what it looks like, because I think it's kind of fun. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say before I sign off, so whoever's left is going to hear it. Since I'm going back to work, and I have not been getting a lot of the made-to-order things actually ordered, when each one of them expires on Etsy, I'm going to let it go. But I will always have the special order ticket, and you know, it's funny, nobody has used that. People just order what's already on the website. But I do have a special order tag. If you want to get something that I dye in a different base, or if you want something that is expired that you see it in my shop, you can always request it. And you can request it on whatever base you want. So what's going to happen is when these things that are made to order, most of them are self-striping. When they expire, I'm just going to let them expire. And unless I have actually dyed it and put it in the shop, it won't be up again until I dye it again. So y'all, you can use that special order ticket, and I'm okay with you using a coupon code to do a special order. I don't have a problem with that. You just would have to understand that if you do a special order, it might take a little bit longer. From now on, after all those made to orders go out, whatever I have in the shop will be available, and I will be able to ship it within 1 to 2 or 3 days. So if you really want one of the made-to-order things now, I would buy it now. They're not all due to be expired for a little while, but I think that that's what I'm going to let them do. I'm just going to let them expire, and if I dye it up, I will put it back up in the shop, but if I don't, I'm going to just leave it expired. But that doesn't mean that you can't order it. So you can always do a special order. So anyway, I'm really excited about the way things have been going. I love my new bases, and I really love seeing how things dye up so differently. These are the same colorways. Look, because this is silk and this is merino. This is a superwash merino. Look how different they dye up. It's just really cool, and it's really neat to see. And the newer bases are a lot softer than my other bases, so y'all go have a look. Anyway, I think it's almost 40 minutes, so it's probably time to say get busy knitting or get busy dyeing. Bye, y'all.